Have you ever paused to wonder, what does she actually feel when you decide to disappear? No message, no goodbye, just silence, as if you vanished into thin air. For you, it might have been a calculated decision, a way to reclaim your freedom. But for her, it could mean an emotional storm, one that feels impossible to escape. Imagine, she wakes up each morning as usual, expecting a text from you, something to start her day. But today, there's nothing, not a word, not a single message. At first, she might think you're just busy, that there's some urgent reason. But as the days go by, the silence lingers. And in that silence, deep thoughts and powerful feelings begin to emerge. First, maybe it's surprise. Why isn't he reaching out? But that surprise quickly shifts to confusion. She begins facing questions that won't let her rest. Did I do something wrong? Was I not good enough? Does he even think of me anymore? These unanswered questions stack up, and suddenly, your silence feels like a sharp weapon, forcing her to face her own insecurities. You might assume she's just sad or drifting in hurt. But the truth is, she's not just in pain, she's also being driven by a powerful curiosity. Someone who was always there has suddenly vanished. This ignites in her a longing to know more. How are you living without her? And in the strange way that silence works, it has now transformed you from a familiar person into a mystery, someone she can't predict, someone she doesn't fully understand. And we all know, there's something irresistibly magnetic about a mystery. This isn't some mind game, not a trick to play with someone's heart. It's the way of those who follow Stoicism, a philosophy that teaches us to keep a healthy distance from emotions that aren't within our control. They choose silence, not to manipulate someone else's emotions, but to reconnect with their own peace, to find that calm space where their happiness doesn't depend on anyone else's reaction. Real freedom doesn't come from controlling others, but from not allowing anyone else's emotions to control you. So when you pull back, stay silent, and let things be as they are, you're not just giving yourself space. You're creating an opportunity for her to look inward, too. This is part of personal growth, a journey that no one else can undertake or lead except herself. You're silent, yet in that silence lies a quiet conversation, a wordless language that holds more power than anything spoken. In that silence, new emotions emerge, thoughts she might not have faced before. Curiosity, self-reflection, and sometimes even frustration all surge at once. Will you ever come back? Or is this just a pause before a return? She doesn't know, and that's what makes it all the more complex. So what really happens inside her when you disappear? Have you ever thought that your absence itself could be a lesson, a way for both of you to grow? Let's explore each of the feelings she experiences, each thought she has to confront in this silence. 1. Feeling of rejection. When you decide to stop appearing, to withdraw into silence, the first thing she feels is a sense of rejection. Suddenly, the person she once saw as an important part of her life, the person who used to text, check in, and share laughs and worries, has vanished. No sign, no explanation. You've withdrawn like a breeze passing by. For her, this disappearance feels like a harsh blow, and she begins to ask herself, what happened? Did I do something wrong? The feeling of rejection crashes over her, leaving her not just sad, but questioning her worth. Her usual confidence fades, replaced by painful self-doubt. Was I really worthy of his care? Was I not enough? Or is there something about me that made him lose interest? These are difficult, wounding thoughts. It's not just a sense of loss, it's a deeper pain, the pain of feeling like she wasn't valued. She revisits every memory, every conversation, looking for clues as to why you left. Yet, all she finds is emptiness. Your presence, which once made her feel special, now feels like a distant memory. Every thought of you feels like a knife to her self-esteem. From another angle, this sense of rejection is part of a lesson that Stoic philosophy teaches. Stoicism reminds us that our worth shouldn't rely on other people's validation. To be truly strong, we must detach ourselves from needing others to affirm us, from seeking meaning through someone else's eyes. After all, if we tie ourselves to someone else's affection, we're at the mercy of emotions beyond our control. She may not realize it immediately, but this rejection is a step toward deeper self-examination. Rather than letting negative thoughts take over, she can begin to understand her own worth, not through another person's feelings, but through what she truly has and what she can give. Every experience of pain, every wound, is a chance to grow if we face it with patience and resilience. And as for you, by choosing to leave, you didn't set out to hurt her. Instead, it's a way for you to find peace within yourself. Stoicism encourages us to refrain from interfering with others' feelings and not let their emotions shake our inner calm. Your choice to step back isn't to cause her pain, but to give both of you a chance to understand yourselves more clearly. By doing this, you're giving her the space to question, to explore herself, and realize that her worth doesn't depend on who stays or leaves. Just like you, she'll eventually see that true freedom is when no one else holds power over her happiness or sadness. And in these moments of vulnerability, facing rejection, both you and she begin to see that true happiness isn't found in others. It's always in our own hands. 2. Curiosity and self-questioning. When you disappear without a word, she feels a flood of emotions. First confusion, then rejection, and now a growing curiosity, a longing that she can hardly control. Questions start swirling in her mind, questions that don't seem to have an end. Why did he leave? Did I do something wrong? Or is there some reason I don't know about? She starts to question herself, analyzing every detail, from the last conversations to your expressions the last time you met. Every word, every smile, every small moment is pulled apart, analyzed. She combs through her memory, searching for any look, any gesture that might hint at a reason she might have missed. Did he stop feeling the same about me at some point, and I just didn't see it? This kind of endless analysis leaves her restless, with an unbreakable sense of wondering that won't let go. Her mind can't stop churning, replaying every little moment, wondering about what lies behind your silence. She recalls your laughter, your expressions when you looked at her, all the things that once made her feel secure, and now those memories only add to her confusion. She asks herself if the emotions you showed were real or just fleeting moments. Or was he just testing me? The curiosity grows into something stronger, maybe even an obsession. She goes back to old messages, reading and rereading, as if searching for a hidden code she needs to unlock. Maybe there's something she overlooked, something you tried to communicate, but that she, in her confidence or distraction, missed. Then, she might start looking for traces on social media. Every post, every photo, every status you shared, everything becomes a clue she can't ignore. She wants to know what you're doing, if you're with someone else, or living a life she isn't aware of. This curiosity makes her feel like a detective in her own story, hunting for hidden truths you left behind in those small details. But you know something? This isn't a plan to manipulate her emotions. You didn't disappear just to keep her guessing. Instead, this is your time to live by Stoic principles, a philosophy that tells us we can't control others' emotions, nor should we try to. Stoicism encourages us to remember that everyone has their own path, and their emotions are natural responses to life's unpredictability. The only thing we can control is ourselves, our reactions, our ability to stay calm amid life's disturbances. Your silence, then, isn't to make her uncomfortable or confused. It's because you understand that sometimes you don't need to explain. Your silence allows her to ask questions, to analyze, and to find her own answers. She needs this space to fully understand her feelings, to address her questions about love, her self-worth, without relying on someone else. Stoicism teaches that when we stop seeking validation from others, we find real peace. By choosing to step away, you've inadvertently given her a chance to rediscover herself, to question what truly matters to her. Not all questions have clear answers, and sometimes no answer is the most profound answer of all. In her curiosity, she'll begin a journey back to herself. This is a journey both of you need. Your silence might just be the spark that makes her question her own value, question her relationships. And one day, if she realizes that her worth isn't diminished by your absence, then that might be the greatest gift you could give her. A gift of freedom from depending on others to feel complete. That's when she'll truly understand. These questions about love and emotions don't always need someone else's answers. Three, the desire for validation. As your silence stretches on, the lack of attention makes her crave some sort of validation from you. She begins to wonder, does he still think of me? Does he still care? And that longing compels her to act, to do something that will bring her back to your mind, even if just for a moment. She might start posting on social media her best photos, deep quotes, or moments where she's enjoying life to show you that she's doing well. Party pictures, vacation shots, peaceful moments she never used to share, all with a slight hope that you'll see them, notice, and maybe even feel a bit of regret. This is her way of trying to pull you back in, or at the very least, leave a mark in your mind. She may never admit it, but each of these actions, each post, each story is a subtle message saying, look, I'm still here, and I'm doing well, but are you thinking of me? She wants to be acknowledged, to know that she still has a place in your thoughts, even though there's been no contact. Sometimes, she might also seek validation from others, not just you. She might expand her social circle, attend events, or even connect more closely with mutual friends, hoping that some news about her might reach you. This desire to be noticed and valued keeps pushing her, as if knowing you're watching would restore her own sense of security. But meanwhile, you remain silent. You choose not to respond, not to get pulled into the emotional back and forth. Stoicism teaches us that we can only control ourselves, never the emotions or actions of others. When she tries to draw your attention, you stay in your peaceful silence, not allowing these outside gestures to disturb your calm. You understand that each time you respond, you're entering a cycle of emotions, depending on someone else's recognition and responses. This doesn't mean you're being cold or indifferent. In fact, you choose not to react because you know that everyone has their own journey of discovering self-worth. You're not aiming to confirm or deny her feelings. In this silence, you're practicing balance, maintaining the inner peace that Stoicism values so deeply. Stoicism doesn't teach us to ignore feelings. It teaches us to let those feelings exist without them controlling us. You don't need to prove anything to her or respond to any of her actions, because your peace comes from within, not from anyone's validation or reaction. By not engaging, you give her the opportunity to look at herself. It might feel uncomfortable, even difficult, but it's in those moments without reassurance that she'll be forced to see her worth isn't defined by anyone's approval. Instead, her worth lies in how she treats herself, in the confidence she can build on her own without needing anyone else's approval. Your silence, then, becomes a mirror, reflecting her own need to seek worth externally. And in that, she may find her own path to self-discovery and self-assurance. She'll come to see that without anyone else's approval, she can still feel whole and complete. Through this silence, you're finding calm and stability, the very ideals Stoicism promotes. You've chosen the path of self-control, not letting anyone shake the peace you're building within. And that stability, that independence, is the foundation of the freedom and serenity you seek. 4. A loss of control. As you suddenly pull back without leaving any sign, she starts feeling like she's lost control over the relationship. In the past, she could predict your actions, sense your reactions, but now, everything feels uncertain. Your disappearance isn't just a physical absence, it creates a sense of insecurity. She wonders, what can I do to regain some balance? Is there something I could change to make him come back? This loss of control is unsettling. It's not just the fear of losing someone she once cared for. On a deeper level, it's the fear of losing her own sense of stability in life. She used to feel some control, a sense of safety in knowing she could reach out and get a response from you. Now, it's as if she's walking on unsteady ground, with nothing to hold on to. Losing that control forces her to confront the deeper fears within, a vulnerability that's easily overwhelmed by negative thoughts. She may start questioning herself more, feeling that her sense of security in this connection is slipping away. Am I not important to him anymore? Am I no longer his choice? These questions chip away at her self-esteem, making her feel increasingly unsteady. But for you, the silence isn't a way to undermine her confidence or instill fear. It's simply a choice of peace. According to Stoicism, silence can be a way to maintain personal boundaries, to respect oneself without trying to control or be controlled by others. By choosing not to engage with her emotions, you're allowing both of you the space to explore yourselves and grow on your own. Stoicism teaches us that freedom never comes from controlling others, but from understanding our own boundaries and allowing only what we can truly control to influence us. Your silence isn't meant to manipulate her emotions or make a point. Instead, it's rooted in understanding that everyone needs the freedom to find their own strength without relying on or clinging to anyone else. The shock of losing that control isn't easy for her, but it's a chance for her to recognize how much she's been depending on your presence to feel worthy. The sense of being out of control may be hard, but it helps her realize that her self-worth doesn't have to be connected to anyone's presence or absence. It's a lesson, however challenging, that can show her how to stand strong on her own without needing someone else there as an anchor. As she faces her fear of losing control, you maintain your calm, your balance. You don't let any response or reaction from her disrupt the serenity you've been building for yourself. Instead, you see that everyone needs time and space to grow on their own terms. By giving her this chance to navigate her own insecurities, you're helping her see her inner strength she may not have realized was there. And in this time apart, you too have a chance to understand your own values, the boundaries you want to protect. You're practicing an inner freedom where no one else can dictate your peace or unsettle your spirit. This is the essence of Stoicism, a place where you no longer need external validation to feel whole, where you possess a freedom that no one can take away. 5. The fear of being replaced. As time goes by and you remain absent, a new fear creeps in, the fear of being replaced. She begins to imagine all kinds of scenarios. Has he met someone new? Maybe he's found someone more exciting, or maybe he's just focusing on other interests now. These thoughts, like a loop with no end, keep playing in her mind, filling her with anxiety, maybe even heartbreak. Picture her, every day checking her phone out of habit, hoping for a message from you. But as the silence stretches on, She can't stop herself from asking, is he spending time with someone else? Do I still matter to him? Her mind turns into a battlefield of assumptions and worries, each thought making her feel like the distance between you is only growing wider. This fear of being replaced isn't just about the idea of you moving on to someone else. It's also a deep-seated worry about her own value. She used to feel special to you, but now, in the face of silence, she's questioning if she was truly enough to hold your attention. This doubt grows, making her feel as if a part of herself is slowly being replaced, as if her worth is fading. But from a Stoic perspective, this moment is an opportunity for both of you to accept that self-worth isn't built on someone else's attention or care. Stoicism teaches that real freedom comes only when we're no longer tied to the emotions or actions of others. So, your choice to step back isn't meant to stir insecurity within her. It's simply part of your own journey toward peace, a journey that doesn't require the presence of anyone else. You can't control her fears or how she responds to the fear of being replaced, but you can continue your life without needing her reassurance to guide your decisions. The Stoic ideal of freedom is the ability to feel whole on your own without comparing or competing with anyone else. She might think you're drifting away or even imagine you found someone new, but your silence is a chance for her to realize that her value isn't tied to whether someone else notices her or not. Sometimes, losing that feeling of being special to someone else becomes an opening for her to reassess herself, to ask whether she can feel confident and complete without anyone else's recognition. Meanwhile, you carry on your personal journey, not aiming to find another relationship, but to reach the balance and self-control that you seek. You're not using your silence to make any point. You're letting things unfold naturally. And even if she misinterprets or worries about being replaced, you know those are feelings outside your control. Stoicism reminds us that each person has their own journey to understand their true worth. You don't need to prove or explain anything, because ultimately, your peace doesn't rely on what others think or feel about you. What matters is that you hold on to the calm within, the inner balance you've been cultivating all along. And in this silence, you both learn a vital lesson, that feeling special is not something anyone can give to you. It's something you find within, a value that doesn't need someone else's feedback. 6. Regret and the desire to change. After a while, she starts to wonder, could I have done something differently to prevent this? Did I miss some signs he was trying to send me? Regret slowly creeps in, leading her to revisit every detail, every moment, thinking there might have been a hint that you needed more support, a reason to stay. She begins to question herself, blaming herself, feeling like she didn't do enough to keep you. Each memory becomes sharper, every word and glance a reminder of things she wishes she could redo. Regret plays in her mind like an endless loop, digging deeper and deeper into her emotions. If only I'd paid more attention. If only I'd expressed my feelings more. These if-onlys start piling up, becoming a weight that drags her down further into sadness. With that regret also comes the hope for a second chance. A chance to show you that she truly values you, that she's willing to make things right. But from a Stoic perspective, your choice to stay distant isn't intended to make her feel regret or feel like she made mistakes. Instead, it's to give both of you a moment to reflect on what really matters. Stoicism teaches us that the past is already gone, and there's no benefit in trying to control or change what has happened. All we can do is live in the present, let go of what's gone, and accept that there are things beyond our reach. Your silence and the space between you aren't meant to make her regretful, but to allow her to face her emotions, to look at what truly matters. She might eventually learn that instead of holding on to the past, what she needs is to focus on becoming the best version of herself right now. Each person has their own path toward growth, and we all need space to figure it out. Regret can be a painful feeling, but it's also a lesson. As she feels the sting of loss and starts questioning what she could have done differently, she might come to see that the value of a relationship isn't only in keeping someone around. It's also in cherishing what's present, appreciating what's here and now. And through this process, she may come to understand that what truly matters isn't trying to change the past, but rather focusing on how she'll act in the present and in the future. As for you, keeping this distance is also a way to practice letting go, to accept that not everything needs control. Stoicism teaches us that when we stop clinging to the past, when we no longer feel the need to fix what's already done, that's when we truly find inner peace. You don't expect her to feel regret or to change. You're simply choosing your own path, focusing on personal growth and inner calm. By not intervening in her emotions, you give her space to look inward, to learn the lessons she needs without the pressure of outside influence. She may come to realize that regret isn't the way forward, and that only by letting go of the past can she truly open new doors in her life. Both of you have different lessons to learn from this distance. For you, it's the lesson of letting go and staying calm in the face of what's already happened. And for her, as she confronts feelings of regret and a desire to change, she'll find her own way forward, a path only she can walk. 7. Realizing personal growth. As the initial storm of emotions, hurt, doubt, regret, begins to calm down, she slowly realizes that your absence isn't just a loss, but an opportunity to reflect and examine her own life. It's at this point that she begins a journey of self-discovery, a journey she might not have embarked on had you stayed. Without your presence as a constant reassurance, she's forced to rely on her inner self to find comfort and stability. Once the initial sense of shock fades, she starts to see that her dependence on you and her need for attention were only surface-level reactions, not a true reflection of who she really is. Instead of clinging to the relationship for validation, she begins asking herself, where does my worth really come from? What can I do to grow without relying on someone else's approval? These questions guide her toward a new journey, one where she explores unknown parts of herself, interests, dreams, and forgotten ambitions. In moments of quiet, when she's no longer looking for answers from you, she may start to see that real wholeness doesn't come from having someone by her side. It comes from her ability to stand strong on her own. She begins to understand that, rather than constantly seeking validation from someone else, she can focus on her own goals, the passions and dreams that she may have set aside. This shift is huge. It marks a movement from focusing on the relationship to focusing on herself, investing her energy in personal growth. Stoicism emphasizes that personal growth doesn't come from being tied down or depending on others. It teaches us that, rather than leaning on someone else to feel important, we need to find that sense of worth within. By stepping away, you're not abandoning responsibility or avoiding the relationship. Instead, you're giving her space to reflect, to understand her own value. You're also giving yourself time to focus on your own development and to progress on your individual journey. She'll come to realize that no, she doesn't need anyone else to make her feel whole. Through your absence, she starts learning to appreciate and love herself, becoming self-sufficient and confident without needing external validation. Her own goals, her aspirations, and plans that were once forgotten may come back to life, driving her forward with renewed energy. Your absence has created a gap, and in that gap, she finds a space to explore and grow in ways that truly matter to her. For you, this time apart is also a chance to refocus on your own ambitions. Personal growth doesn't always happen by holding on to someone else. It often happens when you give yourself the room to explore and become better on your own. By stepping away, you're not running from the relationship. You're respecting both your personal space and hers. You've come to understand that a meaningful relationship doesn't rely on dependency or control. It's built on freedom and each person's own understanding of themselves. In this period of silence, you both find room to grow and rediscover your individual peace and purpose. Without needing each other to feel fulfilled, you both emerge as stronger versions of yourselves. And whether or not you reunite, you'll each feel whole because you've learned that true peace is always found within, and your personal worth never comes from anyone else's recognition. 8. Recognizing self-worth. As the storm of emotions begins to settle, the silence you've created is no longer just a void she wants to fill. It's a space where she can see herself clearly. Through all the confusion, worry, and regret, she starts to realize that what she's truly been searching for isn't your presence. It's a sense of worthiness within herself. She understands now that if she keeps seeking validation from outside, from others' attention and reactions, she'll never feel complete. The quiet you've given her has taught her a lesson she may have never faced before. Her value isn't tied to anyone else. Instead of setting her sense of self-worth on others' opinions, she begins to see that happiness only truly comes when she feels whole within. She no longer needs your approval, no longer needs to see if you're watching or caring, as she starts to find joy in her own accomplishments, her small daily victories. She understands that, whether you return or not, she's still capable of moving forward and finding her own value. This is a deep realization of Stoic philosophy, the idea that true happiness and freedom come from understanding oneself. Stoicism teaches that we can't control others, nor should we rely on others to feel valued. When she finds fulfillment in her own experiences, in learning and deepening her relationship with herself, she no longer needs anyone else to confirm her worth. Now your silence, which she once saw as a rejection, is understood as a lesson in patience and self-respect. If before, she felt anxious or restless, wondering if you were thinking of her, she now knows that such worries are no longer necessary. Stoicism has shown her how to manage those reactions, to keep her emotions in check, and to let herself remain calm, even when faced with the unknown. For you, this distance and silence weren't meant to make her feel less important. In fact, they were a gift, a chance for her to find a deeper self-awareness. She's come to realize that her value doesn't come from being with anyone. It's about recognizing her own worth, regardless of who is or isn't there. And as each of you continues on your own path, you both come to see that happiness doesn't come from depending on others or setting expectations on them. It comes from understanding who you are, knowing what you want, and appreciating yourself in any situation. Through this journey, you and she have reached what Stoicism holds in the highest regard: freedom, independence, and inner peace. So now, whether you meet again or not, you both feel complete because you've each discovered that true happiness never rests in someone else. It's a journey that always leads inward to the discovery of who we are at our core. Your decision to disappear wasn't to bring pain or harm, but to give both of you the time and space to rediscover your true values. This distance isn't an ending. It's an invitation to ask, am I relying on others' attention to feel worthy? Or does my worth come from who I am, from my own confidence and self-respect? In this quiet period, you found your own freedom and inner peace, and she has realized her value without needing external validation. This is what Stoicism teaches us, that true inner peace isn't something found outside of ourselves. It's a resilience that isn't swayed by anyone else. Both of you have had your own journey of growth, of understanding what personal freedom and peace mean. Happiness doesn't come from relationships. It's in our ability to control and understand ourselves, to learn to respect and grow without seeking validation. If you've gone through these feelings, if you faced silence and distance and come to rediscover yourself, share your story in the comments below. Tell us how you overcame the struggles, and don't forget to like and subscribe to continue exploring the journey of Stoicism with us. Together, let's find our peace in every choice, in every step.